everybody. My name is Christy Ellis. I am a realtor in Phoenix, Arizona. I've had my whole career out here in Phoenix. I grew up in New York City, came out here a long time ago, and just absolutely love what I do. It's been a great career for me as a mom, as an entrepreneur, and I've absolutely loved doing this business. So thank you all for being here today. If you could put your city and state next to your name, because this topic is strengthening relationships. And one of the things that I think Keller Williams is really strong at is these agent to agent relationships. It's the getting to know people, and you never know where your next referral is going to have to come from or go to. So when we have these kinds of appointments and meetings and stuff, it's great to get to know those who are with us, because maybe we find that maybe where our next referral has to go to. So um, if you have any questions or anything during the meeting, please feel free to raise your hand. I have made Brian a co-host, so if I don't see something, he can kind of be like, Christy, someone's asking a question, or if you have something you want to put in the chat, feel free to ask. If you just want to unmute yourself and yell it out too, there's really no formal anything in this, so feel free to jump in and say whatever you need to. So anyway, we're going to get started. Oops, hold on. We'll get started as soon as my computer figures out which way it wants to go. Hold on one second. Oops. All right, here we are. All right. So in session 11, I think you guys discovered the tools for converting leads and contacts into businesses. And so today, this is the third session of the lead follow-up system, which is strengthening relationships. And this is kind of where we want to extend your knowledge to include the follow-up with the contacts and explore the tools you can use to leverage and make your systems happen. One of the things I think we tend to forget is we work so much like trying to create the relationship that we forget to do the follow-up piece, right? And what do they say? The funding, the riches are in the follow-up, basically. It's because many people will connect, but it's really hard for people to remember to continue the connections unless something strikes them or reminds them. And today we want to learn how to kind of be more systematic about that. So far, how is everyone doing with their success system progress? Is everyone doing okay, or any questions? Someone just wants to share how they're doing? Because I'll start calling on people. Like, Daisy, how are you doing with your success system? Okay, that's fine. So just continue. All right. So one of the things we do want to remember is every time you have a success, you do want to celebrate it, right? You want to make sure that you create systems for yourself that when you do the follow-up, when you have the connections, create some little celebration for yourself, because we do well with rewards. Is anyone having any challenges so far with what they're doing in their success system? And I know you guys have accountability partners you've been chatting with. How about that? Any challenges there? Okay, well, we'll continue on. So let's just go over a little bit about what we're going to do today. By the end of this is our agenda, and so by the end of the day, you're going to be able to apply your follow-up principles to leads to contacts, because we're going to talk about the difference between a lead and the contact. You're going to be able to create a 36 to convert touch plan. We're going to design and use this MOFIR message, and I'll explain what MOFIR, which is MOFIR, uses to generate some interest. We're going to develop a strategy to grow the number of contacts in your database, because your database is your gold mine, right? Like that is your holy grail, your everything, because the numbers and names you put into that is going to be so important. So start thinking about the things that maybe you want to learn today. And if we haven't learned them, then please feel free to reach out and ask me the question. Again, put it in the chat room, whatever. And so please feel free at any point. Like, I want to be as interactive as possible. I know, depending on where you are right now, it's 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I really want you to be able to, enjoy, participate, and get something out of this. So please feel free to ask any questions as we go through things, or have me clarify something if there was something you didn't understand. So this is one of my favorite topics, mindset. And this is the first part of the agenda for today, which is, how we think of things. And this is something I've been studying for probably the past 15 years. And it's because I used to have that mindset of more like, okay, if I went somewhere, I'd be like, oh, I'll never find parking. I'm never going to sit here. I had that very scarcity mindset. And I realized that that kind of mindset isn't necessarily the best to have in a business. So I started learning more about prosperity and mindset and how that really does make a difference in how you do your business. So, what kind of mindset do you think you need to be successful in nurturing relationships or creating connections? Like, what kind of mindset do you think you have to have? This gets really boring if no one wants to say anything. Just saying. Okay. So, people who work with agents, like, so someone is going to work with the agent who is most available to them emotionally at the time they are willing to make the decision to buy or sell a property or to do something, right? For example, maybe you have a friend you've been talking to, and you don't really mention that you're in real estate to them, and then you find out later on that they didn't even use you for your as an agent. They go, and later on you find out they say, "Oh, I totally forgot you were an agent." Right? So today we want to figure out how to make that not happen, because it does happen. And it's because people don't follow up. We don't have those systems in place. What we can control is we can control putting ourselves in front of people. Now, I'm not talking about driving people crazy or whatever. I'm talking about how do we strategically put ourselves in front of people on a regular basis. One thing that we can talk about is little things we give people, right? Like I have this calendar that I get made every year, and the way it works is when you flip it up, the middle stays the same, and my contact information is in the middle of that calendar. So for every month that someone flips, I'm still in there, and they're still looking at my face. So hopefully, emotionally, when they are ready to make that decision, I am top of mind for them, right? Because we can only control what we can control. We can influence our emotional proximity to the people in our world through our follow up and by controlling the frequency and intensity of it. I love this quote. Know that growth comes from the clarity, priorities, and focused action. So, Gary Keller and his team wrote this book called Shift. It's a great book. I highly recommend reading it. And there's three things that lead to growth, where the first two are thinking steps, right? So, the first thing we need to get clarity around is our goals and our priorities. And then we create the action, right? So, no, because sometimes we also get too involved in, we get too caught up in the weeds, we get too distracted by things. So making sure we are clear on the priorities and we get that focused action. Like, so this is what we have to do, this is how we have to do it. And then we actually get it done. Now, I think you may have seen this before. I'm not sure if you remember what this model is called. This is the lead generation and database model. And I think in your last meeting, you would have worked on the tools to convert leads and, through prospecting, marketing, and how to put leads in your database. So hopefully you guys remember the difference between a lead and a contact. And maybe I'll ask one more question and see if anyone could share with me what is the difference between a lead and a contact. Anyone have a thought on that? All right. So the difference between a lead and a contact is pretty simple. Leads are people that you oh, you know what? I apologize. Okay, so there are people talking in the chat, and again, the way my system is set up, it isn't always available, but now I think I can figure out how to do it. So sorry about that. So for the mindset, yes, positive and open. Uh it's actually when, oh, contact is when you have an actual conversation. Correct, Erica. So leads are just people that maybe you got somebody who said, "Hey, my friend just mentioned they're going to sell their house. I think you should go talk to him." Well, it depends on how that friend introduces you, right? Because I have had that one where I think they actually have said nice things about me and tried to get me in front of them, but really they just gave me a phone number to go call someone, and then you call someone and be like, "Hey, I'm calling you because so and so said you want to. Oh, so and so said you wanted to sell your house," and then they kind of act like they have no idea who you are. So a lead is someone that you don't really have a lot of contact information on. You may have never had a conversation with them, but a contact is someone You have spoken to them, you have a way to follow up with them. They're people you know, maybe people you've worked with in the past, either your current real estate career or maybe a career prior to. They're people that you're going to hear from on a regular basis, right? You post something on social media, they're the ones who are going to respond to you. So those are your contacts. Your leads are the ones, and there's warm leads, and there's all these different like kind of stages of leads too, and how warm they are. But what you want to do is you want to convert all those leads to your contacts. So think about that when you're. Don't be afraid to put people in your database. I guess is the biggest thing. If it's someone you maybe haven't spoken to yet, or maybe you had one small conversation, put that person in. And one of the things I love about the Keller Williams system is that you can create a gazillion tags, and you can create one that is, maybe identifies it in some way that, maybe I have something called cultivating through first email. And this way I kind of know where we are in the process. And then if I want to send out information to people that I think that I really don't know yet, but I'd like to get to know better, maybe there's some information I can send to them that looks personalized. So that's one of the beautiful things about the system, is having all those tags that are available. And I like tags. I use a lot of tags. Um, and and this is kind of just a reminder too. We have that long letter word combo, the WI4CT, I'm sorry, 2TES, where that third C is communication. And we say, seek first to understand. Now, if we approach our conversations with contacts and think about that, like understanding what maybe our person needs or wants, then we understand their community, we understand what they want, then we can help fill those needs. I also like to call it filling in their invisible sign. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the book The Go-Giver by Bob Berg and John David Mann, but it's one of my favorites. Actually, I am like a certified coach for them, and they're just, the reason I do that is because I absolutely love that model. And one of the things we talk about is, everybody has an invisible sign, and it says, I need something, right? I need a DJ for my daughter's wedding. I need a caterer for an event. I need to buy a house that'll fit my whole family. Well, as agents, one of our things and ways we best work with clients or people and get to build those contacts is filling in those invisible signs for them. Find out, what does someone really need or want, and help them get to that. I mean, we're always a resource. I'm sure a lot of you get phone calls from your friends or people who are like, hey, I needed this, or who's your favorite plumber, or who do you use for window screens? I mean, I even get like, who's your favorite baker or cookie maker? So you can literally be a resource for everything. And that's a good way for that, seek to understand, fill in that invisible sign. So focus on building relationships and take the market share. Um, we intend to be successful, and as real estate professionals, success is built on relationships. And if you look at the red talk, focus on building relationships and market share. And the market share is like, taking that market share in their mind, not necessarily the market share in your neighborhood, but the mindset. Hold on, Andrew says, I have a large contact list from my previous career, many of which I've never actually met or spoken with, but I have their information. Would it be valuable to still add them? Absolutely. And that's a great way to start those connections again. Especially if it's from your previous career, one of the things you can say is, hey, you know what? I know I knew you in this life, but now here's what I'm doing. I'm not trying to sell you anything right now. I just want you to know, if you appreciated the time and energy I gave you in the past, just know that will translate into this new career as well. So people will be able to say, hey, I knew Andrew here and he was great and he did this great job for me. And now I have this ability to see him in this light as well. I had one agent who I coached one time, and she was awesome because she was an interior designer who got into real estate. And we were working on, hey, how do you introduce yourself now as the real estate agent, not the designer? So we came up with this brilliant idea, and she created this little card, and she put a piece of ribbon on it, like fancy ribbon, not like, bow ties, but it was more like decorative ribbon. And she said, you knew me as your designer, and now I'm your realtor. So if you want, we can either love it or list it. So she played that whole HGTV thing, which I thought was kind of fun. So if you can come up with something creative and a way to reintroduce yourself in this industry, I definitely say it. I am always about like, keep going until they unsubscribe. That's my personal philosophy. and let them make the decision they don't want to talk to anymore. So, okay. Yeah, right. Okay. So I have one agent who I know, she said, "You're not getting off my marketing list unless you die," basically. So that's some people's philosophies. And girl's been in the business for 42 years. So I trust everything she says. All right. So let's establish a mindset around follow up with our contacts. Now, the whole reap and sow analogy, right? If your database is your garden, this is why this picture's here. If your database is your garden and your leads are the seeds and your contacts are the plants, then every conversation is your harvest, right? And I don't know if you've ever listened to Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. He sort of has that same kind of thing. Like, you plant, what grows is what you plant, right? So whatever seed you plant, you don't go plant a rose bush and you get out a tulip, right? Okay, horrible combination because I know those aren't even close. But anyway, you kind of get the idea. You don't plant one thing and get something totally different. You plant the one and you get the thing you planted. So if you plant the goodness, you plant the positive, you plant the expectations of who you are and what you do for your real estate clients, then you will be able to reap that benefit later on, especially in the place when they're emotionally ready for you. So, what do you think about this idea? Today's conversation is tomorrow's transaction. Any thoughts on that one? Because it's true, right? We don't know where something is going to benefit us. We don't know when someone is going to be available or ready for us to have like to get that interview. So it's always good to be prepared. And this is how you make sure you put enough into it. You put enough seeds down. You do enough of the watering. You have a big enough garden that the goals you've created for yourself to have to fund your big life are going to be available to you. It's all about conversations. Um, there's also a great book called Never Eat Alone. I like that one as well. I'm the type of person, I'm really good at having conversations with people. Like, I love going or happy hour or lunch or drinks like that. That's kind of my thing. I'm not fantastic at like door knocking and some other stuff, so I kind of go with what's authentically me, and I find that when I do what I'm excited about, then I tend to put that energy into my client and they get excited with me, so they'll know that the transactions we have will create some positivity and it'll be fun and it'll be energetic. I always joke, like, I'm not that great at open houses. I've been in the business 22 years. I'm still not good at it. And I blame it on the fact I grew up in New York City. To have strangers walk into my house is just weird. But I try to get past that. And I'm I want to get better at it. So I've been challenged by some of my peers to do more open houses and to get better at it. So I know agents who can turn and convert in open houses all day long, but they're not great at other things. So find what you're super great at and kind of work with that first. Like, start there. You can always add in the other things. You can do the other stuff after. But if you start with what you do really well and you create those relationships, then as time goes on, and you want to add other ones into your bag of tricks, feel free. I just like to stick with what I know first because I feel most comfortable and I feel like I can get people to buy into me more. Um, so if you have any questions so far, just please put it in the chat, and or if you have some great ideas on things that you found to be great ways to like to start conversations, or anyone you want to put in your database, please feel free to put that in the chat as well. Okay. Again, the book Shift. This one happens to be on page 81. Once you meet your new contacts, you either do business with them immediately or you don't. Either way, once you've met them, you put them in your database and you stay in touch with them forever. And the second C in our WI4CT2ES is commitment in all things. We're committed to staying in emotional proximity with our contacts. Again, there's so many different ways to do this. Like, one that I recommend as well, you can get printed up like little notepads, and you can put on those notepads your contact information, and you can send those to people. So, like, when you have clients who have like scratch pads or whatever on their desk, or like this is a notary I know. She gave me this thing and I just have it on my desk, right? So if I'm going to think of a notary, I got her piece of paper right here. Who's going to be one of the first people I call? That's going to be her. So there's ways that you can put yourself around subtly. It doesn't always have to be about the phone call is the thing that gets you or the email. It can be these little trinkets. I mean, pop buys are very popular with people, and just having something maybe with your name on it and your contact information, so you can be emotionally close to people. Okay, so this is identifying your goals. In order to be successful at nurturing relationships, we have to understand what our goals are. So let's take a look at this graph, and we're going to compare it to the wave graph where every person in your database is on a wave of being ready to buy. So in this graph, we have the lead generation phase on the left, where you're gathering and storing your leads pretty quickly, right? Hopefully you're scheduling some time for lead gen, a couple of hours a week at least. Ideally pick a day that maybe you can start in the morning, and kind of get that over with, right? That eat the frog, get the lead gen stuff over with through. I personally schedule like 1 hour every day. Some people are better at like bigger time blocks. Whatever it is, just find a way to make those, like, get that stuff done as soon as possible. Filling the funnel is the most important. And when you tend to get busier and your clients want to do things like go out and look at houses and see things, and you tend to do that more towards middle end of day. And if you schedule your lead gen for middle end of day, you may not prioritize that as much as the person who wants to go see a property right now. So lead generation is super important when it comes to filling your funnel, right? Because if you don't have the funnel filled and you're not lead genning, and that client you have that you're working on buys and closes on that house, who are your next people coming in? So make sure you schedule, time block it, put it on your calendar. In this business, your calendar is your boss, right? So anything you put on the calendar, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. So how long do you think the lead follow-up phase can be? Like, what do you think that timing can be? Anybody have a thought on that? I'll wait in the chat and see if someone says something. Just take a guess. Not even guessing? Okay. So it could be anywhere from like 7 to 10 years, because that's typically the average time someone stays in a home. Um, in the Northeast, people tend to stay in their home a lot longer. So it just depends on where your location is. Are you in a very transient state like Arizona? I'm going to assume this is a lot for Houston, for Texas as well. People come and go a lot from these states because jobs take them to different places. There's a lot of hubs in the business hubs in these different areas. So remember, when you put someone in there, you're not necessarily working on them being your client tomorrow, but at some point they are. And does it make sense how important lead follow-up is, especially when it can take up to 10 years? Absolutely. People want to know you're consistent and still in the business, right? If you're constantly showing people that you're still in the business, then they won't have that question when they are emotionally ready. Oh, is Rachel still there? Is Erica still available to me? They'll already know because you're continuing to follow up with them over all this time. And that persistence and determination, I think, apply, when people look at you and say, oh, you know what? She's been following up with me all these years. I'd feel bad not going with her. Nothing wrong with a little bit of guilt to get a deal. I'm not opposed to that at all. Um, Now, of course, the ones who are going to express interest right away, definitely get on their calendar as fast as possible. Now, our goal from session 11 was to convert leads to appointments, and we learned that every lead is not available, ready, willing at that time. And sometimes you'll feel very ghosted, and that's okay. And when we encounter these people who are not quite ready for the appointment, we do use this follow-up system to stay in contact until they're ready for the appointment. So just as a guess, do you know how many times you think you have to touch them? Like, how many touches before someone actually uh hears your message? I know there's a couple of very common studies that have basically said the same thing. Like how many? Yes, Andrew, 8 is exactly the number. 8 times. I know by time 3, I feel like I've really annoyed people, but apparently I haven't annoyed them enough. So I'm just going to keep contacting for at least 8. And this is the thing I love too. Um, who here, and it was funny because while I was preparing for this class, I did this. Who here has ever like gone on a website to buy something and then it says, "Oh, if you give me your email address, we'll send you 15% off." And then you're like, "Oh yeah, totally, I'll do that for 15." Like, well, if you give me your text message, we'll give you 20% off. And you're like, "Oh, dang, I really okay, yeah." So you give them your cell phone number too. So has anyone done this before? I'd like to, has anyone done that? Yeah. More than once? I've totally done it more than once. More than 10 times? Maybe not more than 10. Okay. Yeah. So all I know is I've got a lot of text messages that, yeah, everyone's guilty, right? Grab the text and then block them. Exactly. Use the discount code and then just stop. And that's basically what I do too. Or I figure out like they're just annoying me now as well. I think there's maybe after 8 and you get into 12 or 14 times and you haven't purchased that thing, maybe you get annoying, but hey, it's worth it, right? So yeah, I just did that with a sous vide. And if anyone has a sous vide, I'd like to talk to you after the class because I really want to know about that. Anyway, um, following up is got to be of value as well, right? So, and I tell lenders this all the time. Don't call me every Monday to say how are you. If I had to talk to every lender every Monday who wanted to know how I am, I'd spend all of Monday talking to lenders, right? So think about that when you're doing business, when you're following up with people too. Make it of value to them. What is going on with them? What do they want or need? I'm a personal advocate of stalking people's social media because you can find some good stuff on there where people need things, they want things, they rant about stuff, and it's okay to get behind them every once in a while. You can call up and be like, "Hey, oh, I saw that post. Yes, I totally understand. I get that." And you can share stories like when you can commiserate, when you can add suggestions, when you can fill in that sign, right? So you can have those conversations when you're adding value. And there's so many different ways to do it. It really depends on the person. And I'm a big fan of the platinum rule. Do unto others as they want done to them. Because the golden rule is cool. I just don't feel like everybody wants what I want. So I like to see what people want for themselves. All right, so we've talked about the mind share and how important it is to convert the leads into contacts. So let's look at some stats here. National Association of Realtors says that 74 to 75% of all buyers and sellers spoke with just one agent before choosing them to represent them. So only 15% of them ever considered more than one agent. And usually that's because someone referred you, right? A lot of us work on referral based businesses and we want to have what I call our walking ambassadors. We want those people who are also influential with their spheres. And when they say, "Oh, call Monica for, because she's a great agent, she did all these fantastic things for me," you want that to be the only phone call they make. And one of the ways you do that is by being responsive when they reach out to you, setting up that appointment as soon as possible, letting them know that you are there and ready to work. Because that's going to be, and I know a lot of agents who don't answer their phones, and it's really important. You never know where that call is going to come from, right? So answer it. If it's a spam thing, you just hang up on them. It's fine. So with that, you need to be top of mind when buyers and sellers are thinking of their real estate, they think of you, and that's the definition of mind share, not necessarily about, not market share as far as like in your market. So now, do you remember earlier when we were talking about the real estate databases of your leads and where your contacts? Now think about this. How many different real estate databases are you in? Like, so if you've visited a competitor's site and started getting emails or texts from them, now if you're in their databases, think of your sphere with everyone in your data along with all the people in your database. So make sure that when you are connecting with these people, because we know they're all in a lot of people's databases, that we're giving them something that they really want. So any questions on this right now? Because it really does stay, when you stay top of mind, and sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it, because if you get a pretty healthy sized database, it's hard to constantly, you can't be best friends with everybody. You can't be best friends with everyone in your database. That's impossible. but you send out information. And I've had on multiple occasions, I just, I keep people in there. I send them the newsletter. I may, share a phone call or whatever. Because you can set up those phone calls, you can put them on a schedule through Connect. And I have had on multiple occasions someone who called me out of the blue and it was like, "Hey, Christy, can you do me a favor? I'm ready to sell my house." And at the time, I feel a little bit guilty because I'm like, "Gosh, I really haven't invested a lot in you in the past 2 or 3 years, but I've done enough where they think of me still as their agent." Right. So I know I struggled with the whole, how do I stay super close to everybody? And it's not that you have to stay super duper close with them, but you have to stay connected to them, and you do have to give them value. So the newsletter gives people value. Whatever you share in there should give them value, right? You don't want them to unsubscribe or not open it. So find things that are going to be important. Don't make it like maybe super lengthy, or maybe just share some important highlights. Um, those are kind of the things that you want to make sure you stick with, because if you and this is why I love the tags too, because you can send specific information. Like, let's say you farm a certain area. If you have a tag for, oh, I don't know, let's say Houston. Okay, so if you live in Houston, Woodlands, right? Like Woodlands is in Houston. So let's say you have a database with people in Woodlands and you want to make sure you target Woodlands because there's some stuff going on there and you don't really need to target the rest of Houston. Then I love these tags because you can really drill down to make it super important to the people you're connecting with. So that's another reason I like tags, is because you can be very specific about the information you send to people, so it is of value to them and them alone, versus people are going to look at your email and be like, "Oh, is this just another general thing?" Um, so our clients are always gonna stay in our contacts, right? And I like to tag them special. You can call them VIPs. I call them satisfied clients. I call them continuing clients. Just anything that if you want to just send to your current people and maybe put them on a VIP list of some kind, or offer them special things because they have used you. That's another really good thing to add value with people. So we continue to nurture these relationships even after these transactions. And again, we want to stay in emotional proximity, because I actually just had a deal.
Sorry, huh?
What's that? Oh, sorry, Daisy, do you have something you want to say?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Um, I had a deal, and okay, again, I've been doing business for 22 years, and I've never ever had this happen before. Closed on a client's house. We sold their house, did a contingency buy. It was, fun. Got them in the house. They moved in on a Wednesday. By Friday, they said, "Yeah, this isn't going to work. We want to sell the house and move." I was like, "Really? You want to sell the house and move?" I'm like, why don't you give it a week and have just check things out. Nope, we can't do this because it's just too anxiety. They were coming from a quieter place, and they moved up to an area that was a little busier, and that was just creating a lot of stress and anxiety. Older couple. So I literally put the house on the market a week later and got them into their next house. So just because the transaction's over doesn't mean you're not going to turn around and sell them another property. So Andrew, do you have a preferred smart plan that you set up your leads up onto? Yes, and we'll go through a couple of those. There's a bunch of them. I do love, my personal favorite is always the neighborhood one, the bi-weekly neighborhood, because people always want to know how much equity they have in their home. And I personally think that's a great one, uh, to even get conversations started, because someone may be like, "Oh, really? Is that how much my house is worth?" Or if unfortunately it goes the other way, they're like, "Really? Did I lose that much money?" And you can help calm them down or help them understand like what's going on in their area and what people are listing properties for. Um, good. I hope that helps. And like I said, we'll see a few others in just a little bit. Now, we talked a little bit about the adding value for big purchases and services. It's natural to seek out these personal recommendations, right? So people are gonna want to come to you. Maybe they want to talk to you about a financial advisor after you've closed the deal. Maybe they want to know, because now they have houses, and now maybe they need an estate planning attorney. So these are also great ways. Like, think of all the things now that they own a home they may need, right? And maybe create those contacts. You can create like drip systems, through command as well. There's also a bunch of other ones like you could do through MailChimp. There's like other systems as well, but command just makes it super easy and it's already included for you. But you can do things like, hey, you just moved in, and it doesn't make a difference how old the person is. They have an asset, right? So here's a great estate planning attorney and explain why estate planning attorneys are great. Here's a fantastic CPA. Now that you can deduct your mortgage interest, you may want to check in with. So start creating a system where you're constantly giving a new home buyer maybe some great piece of information. Oh, have you found a fantastic landscaper yet? Here's who I recommend. Pest control. I don't know if where you live, we have scorpions and creepy crawly things here that we don't want in our homes. So pest control is really important for us. So maybe things that are important to people in your area, and you can connect them. And this is a great way to touch, especially for a whole year. Maybe every month, send them somebody that would be great for them to a great source for them. So any questions yet on this? Any thoughts? Now I also like this stat. In 2021, NAR found out that 47% of buyers who used an agent were referred to them by a friend, neighbor, or relative. And that number jumps up to 57% for first time home buyers. And you want to be that recommendation. Um, First time home, although the funny part is the first time home buyers, that 57%, that neighbor, relative, or friend who referred them is probably going to be a part of the deal as well. So always good with a first time home buyer to check on who's going to be involved in the transaction. They like to get lots of people's opinions. Um, any ahas or anything that that you kind of light bulb went on or anything you want to share? Because if maybe something got clicked for you, then maybe someone else will hear something that clicks for them. Or no, it's okay. You can think of maybe something will come up later. Okay, so let's now talk about devising the plan. So you already know how important these leads are for follow up, and how you can use the 19 to connect and the 1 to cement plans from the last sessions you had. So now we're going to talk about the 36 to convert plan, and that helps you stay in contact long term and gain the benefit of clients and referrals from your database. Oh, sorry. So I think you guys have already created the foundation for the 36 to convert when you designed your 19 to connect touch plan. So your 36 to convert plan, it's more of a comprehensive program with different layers of input. And it contains a mixture of like phone calls, newsletters, events, market updates, home valuations, love home valuations, other value-based products. One of the things I like to do too is when you close on a transaction, save a cop for that year. So like in come January of 2026 or the end of 2025, everything you closed in 2025, pull up your like those final HUD statements or hey Brian, can you do me a favor? Can you let Amanda in? Thank you. Um, Pull up those final settlement statements, and what you can do is send those to your clients and mail it to them. And I always like to just put, hey, you know what? You're doing your taxes this year. You're probably going to need this because your CPA or the tax people are going to you're going to be able to write off some of this stuff. That's a great touch point. I love that one. And, so you can either, when you first close on it, print it up, use the envelope, just stick it on your desk somewhere, or just print it up at the end of the year and send it out to your people. Now, how do you know what your contacts value, right? How do you think you can find out what's important to somebody? Anyone have a thought on that? How you can find out what's important? We talked a little bit about stalking social media. Is there any other way that you can, because everything you share with us now will help all your other fellow people on the call maybe find ways to find that value for that person.
Talk to them.
Talk to them. Forward. Yes, exactly. Having conversations. Forward, which is um, family, occupation, recreation, and Andrew, I can't remember the D.
Dreams.
What is it?
Dreams.
Dreams?
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, yeah, I forgot to be something else. All right. So yeah, these are great. Like asking these conversations. One of the no, that one actually wouldn't apply. Never mind. I thought I had something on that, but that's more about when you first meet people. Uh So we talked about the social media, talking about like the conversations you have with people. Um, any other thoughts on ways you can find out what they're into? I'm sure maybe we'll come up with something as feel free to always jump in if you think of something after. All right. So stalking on social. Yes, stalking on social. I totally agree with that because you can find out so much information. I one time, a friend of mine, I'm not going to hold this against her, but she's a giant Oakland Raider when it was Oakland Raiders fan. And she Google and Chat GPT. Yeah, Chat GPT probably knows more about us than we think. Um and she wanted this mug really bad. She was like, "Oh, if I could just find where I could get this mug." And I don't know why she didn't Google it herself, but she didn't. So I did. I found the mug, got it. It was like 20 bucks. I bought it and then I brought it to her. That girl has been my client forever, right? So just saying, like, those little things make a big difference. Social media, I find, is probably the best way because people put everything out there. So it's really stalking if they're putting it out there. I think it's just fine. All right. Um, all right. So our message on the 36 touches should do two things, right? It's going to build our connection to the contact by getting to know their needs and their wants, and it's going to elicit a response from that contact that puts you into a dialogue with them pretty quick. So we call those, that's what that MOFR is: make, offer for immediate response. So we want to know, who are they? What do they want or need to do? Where do they want or need to do it? Why do they want or need to do it? When do they want to need or do it? And how do they plan on doing it? And it can be a direct offer designed to get a response from someone who's ready to buy or sell. It could be an indirect offer. It could be a message, not really directly about buying or selling, but something that builds your relationship. I know a lot of people will do things like maybe take clients out to, like, we have a lot of spring training here in Arizona and Phoenix. And so it's not unusual for us to take clients to spring training games. We also have this golf tournament called Waste Management Open that's super popular. And so we may take clients there. So something that would be like, "Hey, I got these 2 tickets for the game next week. Would you be interested in coming with me?" Or, "Hey, you know what? I know you've been talking about wishing you could live in my neighborhood. This house across the street from me just came up for sale. Is this something you want to come take a look at? We don't even know if you want to buy it yet, but maybe just even just take a look." Things like that can get people wanting to have the conversation or responding to you, right? It's not a rhetorical question, it's a direct question. Okay, Brian. Does anyone else have a thought on like a way to get someone to respond to you? I have seen people do tricky things like, "Oh my gosh, I just found this out. You need to call me right away." And then they do that. And then, I'm sorry, when people have done that to me, I thought it was a big letdown when they didn't have something really juicy to share. So maybe not so tricky, but um, what do you, yeah, you don't like that. I don't like that either. So, what ways can you do it nicely so that people would want to call you? Anyone have a thought on that? Okay, you can think about that one too. Um, but ways that you can, and that's another reason I like the sharing resources, like, the pest control guy or the, oh, there's also something that's gone over well, and you may not have it in your area, but if you do, we have a videographer that we know, and he does these things called heritage videos. And what that does is it helps people who have older family members who want to, commemorate their family and memorialize a certain family member. And so they interview that family member and they have this on video. So for future that they can get to know that person. So maybe if you know someone who has an aging parent, or maybe a client who may be working with an ill parent, that you can recommend someone like that to them. "Hey, I saw this person, he has these videos," something like that, where you can find great ways to connect with people. And Chat GPT, if you put something like that in Chat GPT, I'm sure you can find someone locally that can help you out. But those go over well because even if they don't ever want to use it, just the thought of you caring about them and their family member enough is usually pretty important. Okay. So let's turn to your develop your 36 touch plan page in your participant guide. I gotta find that in here. And We're going to take a few minutes for you to work and write down what your plan's going to look like. So let's hold on a second. Let's see where that is. Uh, not the wrong guy. Hold on. It is. All right. It's this page. This one here. Can you see that? Okay, that one. All right. So, um, write down now again this telephone call one, the message content, maybe something like it gives examples like the birthday call, a promotional mail or something. But maybe you can come up with something slightly generic that you can call them about. Maybe it's like call this person and talk to them about their family, or call this group, or so kind of make a plan right now. I'm going to give you like 10 minutes. Make a plan for what you would want to have as a conversation. What would you want to the 26 biweekly emails offering something of value? That was it, that one with the home value, that's a good one for that. An event. Events are a lot of fun and they're super easy to do. They don't have to be super expensive. You can have appreciation parties. My one friend, he's actually a Keller Williams agent in Miami, Florida. His name's Jose Fernandez, and for ice cream, what do you call it? International or ice cream day was a couple days ago. He literally drove to 3 ice cream places, told his VIPs, "Hey, if you want to follow me or meet me, I'll be at these 3 different places at this time. I will buy you ice cream." So that's a great way to have those but then he also used that and posted it on social media and said, "Hey, my clients, those who have used me got free ice cream." So think about like fun ways to do events. There's lots, and events I think are super fun. So if you have some great ideas for events, I'd love to hear about those too. But I it's 6:50 my time. I don't know what time, so whatever time you're in. So 10 minutes at the top of the hour. Take a few minutes to talk about this, and then I want to share. I would love to hear some of what you're thinking about doing for some of these things. So feel free. If I had music to play, I would, but that's probably gonna be a little quiet for a minute. So take 10 minutes and learn, put this down. And if you want, if you have any questions, feel free to also ask. You gotta be kidding me. Maybe my screen share just stopped. All right, give me a second to put it back on. So Andrew, I think it's you put in their address and it tells them just about the neighborhood they're in. So it doesn't give them any information on their house specifically, but I believe it encourages them to call you to get specific information about the property. Mm. There you go. Can everybody see this screen with the develop your touches?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Oops, that's not my logo. All right. Is anyone having any challenges coming up with stuff to put on their plan? Brian, what would be something of value for a commercial agent? Like, what would you talk to your people about?
Valuation.
On their property?
Yeah, valuation on property. It could be ways to save on property taxes, ways to protest tax valuations,
Hmm.
ways to exit investments through 1031 exchanges, all kinds of things.
Oh, see, and that would apply to residential too. Both of those could
Yep.
be good. I like the 1031
It
idea.
would. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one. What about if they're in leases? Like, is there if there's something about like do you do people who have leases?
I do. Most of the conversations with leasees, oddly enough, center around getting out of their leases.
And then it's great to have a really good real estate attorney that you know.
Exactly. Also, combating increases in CAM rates when
Oh,
they
okay.
get their reconciliation statements every year. They're oftentimes surprised.
Hmm.
Things they can do about that: renegotiating leases, renegotiating terms. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Very cool.
yeah. I'm working on an office building right now, a 4-story office building right now in Pasadena. I'm thinking I'm going to decline the listing.
Oh, unrealistic seller?
Well, that and the fact that nobody's leasing office space right now,
Oh, really?
especially in Pasadena.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I have a lot of developers here that are trying to repurpose office buildings into
I was gonna say, can they
residential
repurpose
buildings.
it for something?
Possibly.
Here, I find that a lot of them redo it and put in like a kid's trampoline park.
Yeah.
We have lots of trampoline parks and slide parks, indoor slide.
Wow.
Well, it is like 108 today, so there it's
It felt like that today here, but I don't even think it broke 100.
uh
But we have like 200% humidity.
yeah, see, we don't have that, so that's good. I looking forward to that in San Antonio. It's gonna be sticky.
I'm not going this year.
Is anyone going to mega camp? Not this year. It's my first year in mega. I've never been to mega camp before. Our school years here start really early. They were started like they always started in August. So I never, when my girls were little, it was always hard to go anywhere in August. Anyone know where I could get a 1031 exchange PDF one sheet? You know what, Andrew, hold on a second. I may have one. There's I wonder if you could take this and ask ChatGPT to create something for you. Okay, so thoughts or did you have any challenges creating these? Like trying to create items to add to your plan? Yeah, done would be better, but I can't seem to find. If I find one, I will oh, you know what? Actually, if you could all too, I would love if you could put your contact information in the chat. I would love to if something comes up and I find something that I may find as a benefit. Now I'm not I promise I won't spam you, but you know, if I find something that maybe you could use like something like this, I definitely would reach out. So if you put your contact information, that would be great. Okay. All right, so if you had 200 contacts in your database and you put them all in a 36 touch plan, that would be 7,200 touches. And I think it's something like for every 19 people in your database, right? So all these touches. So these are things that are going to create the connections. It's a numbers game basically, right? You think about how many times you want, how many deals you get in a year, how many touches or leads you have to have. The numbers are kind of staggering. I did my numbers and I needed to talk to, it was something like 1,200 people in the year to hit the goals I want to hit, which actually isn't so hard when you think about it, but it does seem a tad bit overwhelming. But we'll talk about, you know, breaking it down because there's also this great book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I love this book. It's basically that same principle. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? You know, that he has this great story about talking to a woman who was going to run a marathon. She's like, well, I hardly get off the couch. How am I going to run a marathon? He's like, well, you know, how about can you get off the couch and like walk down the block? And she's like, well, yeah, I could do that. Okay, great. And so after like, you know, asking her to do that a few times, okay, can you walk around the block? You know, and it was just doing those one little thing every day that made things exponentially. And but in the story, she had run 5 marathons by the time he had written the book. So it's just doing those things little by little. And that's what kind of this is about, right? It's about breaking those things down to make them easier. And I am all about trying to do, you know, trying to grab as many people at one time. That's why I like the events. because you can kind of connect with a bunch of people quicker. And that's just my my desire to just do things faster and easier, the work smarter, not harder stuff. So I like events. But has anyone done an event that they found was very successful? I'd love to hear that. You just feel free to yell it out. There's also this good book called Go for No. And, I think a lot of us have a challenge with making phone calls because we don't like rejection or we feel like we're bothering somebody. I like that the word sales comes from, I think it's like the Latin word salon, and it basically means to gift or to give. And when we think about what we're doing is giving people an opportunity to get things done well, because we know we're the ones taking care of them, and kind of it's that mindset shift, having people know that what we're doing for them is giving them a gift. We're not trying to do something that is not in their best interest. Like the other day, I actually talked to an agent. I was kind of sad to hear this. He said, "Hey, do you think I should convince my friend to sell his rental?" It's like, "Oh, why would you want to do that?" He said, "Because I need the commission." That's not a reason to do something. So I'm like, yeah, I think you need to change your mindset. Let's just kind of like, is that really in his best interest to do that? So yeah, there's that. But finding ways that we can grab more people more often is always going to help you hit these goals, because in Go for No, it's about, the more no's you get, the closer you get to getting the yes. And that's what you're looking for. You want to get to that yes as soon as possible. All right, so let's look at on the next page. Oh, the goal setting to now, this one. All right. So do you know, if you know how many contacts you have in your database, put that in that first space, right? And this is where we're doing the breakdown part. So this is the one bite at a time. This is the elephant, is your database, and we're gonna figure out how to eat it. So number of contacts times 4 is that equals your calls per year, right? And then you're gonna take that's those two-way conversations. Now you're gonna divide that by 12, and that's gonna be your calls per month. And you're going to divide that by 4, and that's going to be your calls per week. And you divide that number by 5, and that's going to be your calls per day. Now, you may work 4 days a week, you may work 6 days a week, whatever that last number is, that divide by 5, you can do 4, 6, 3, 2, however many days a week you want to work. It doesn't make a difference how many days a week you want to work. You just need to do the work is the thing, right? So if you like this career and you want to not work Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, that's kind of hard in real estate business. But if you choose not to, or if you don't want to work Tuesday, Wednesday, put whatever number here you want to, how many days you want to work by. And then these are some of the smart plans we talked about earlier. So I think it was Andrew who asked for this. We talk about the biweekly neighborhood nurture. That one's great. This 8x8 new contact engagement. That one's fantastic too. So these are all good plans. There are a lot of them in there. Highly recommend you go through it, see which one fits you. I believe you can edit some of them. I feel like I did that once or twice. Can't really 100% remember. I'll have to look into that, but I feel like I was able to edit some of them. And this is also where the tags will come in handy too. So let's say part of your touches are renters, people who are currently renting, and you want to cultivate those relationships. You obviously would not send them the biweekly neighborhood nurture, right? You're going to send them something about rentals or like the benefit of owning a home. And so that's why I like the tags. You maybe put the tag in that says renter or future home buyer, maybe be really optimistic and make that your tag. And this way, when you can set up these systems and you create the people with those tags go in there, because you don't want to give people, again, we talk about this value. You don't want to give them stuff that they don't need. And don't forget too, not only is it people in your database, like your past clients, all these agents that you meet, like I have a whole separate bunch of tags for agents I know. Right? Agents who I've connected with over the years, agents I've done business with, put those people in there. You may put them under never call this agent again, this one's an idiot. That's a tag. So put agents in there too. People, it doesn't have to necessarily be people you've worked with or had like a client, a past client, or a potential prospecting client. Put in agents that people you've done business with. I like to separate it out. I have people, like I have a tag for entrepreneurs, people who own their own businesses, because that could be another system, right? Again, we're trying to drill this down to make it super important for the people who are receiving it to feel that they have the most value. All right, any questions or thoughts on these plans or drip systems that they've used that they thought were great? I'm sorry. The hardest part I think about the drip systems is actually putting them together. That's why I do like that this makes it really simple. You can also hire virtual assistants for projects. So if maybe you have a project that you need to get done, like putting all these people into your database or whatever, hiring the virtual assistant is totally worth it. Mine is like $7 an hour. I can do a lot more in an hour. Oh, look, I don't know how that got up there, but for $7. And yeah, definitely add the agents. And I also, with the other thing I do for the agent is I put as a tag the city and the state separately that they're serving. So like Felicia, for you, I would say Felicia McGee, Dallas, and Texas, right? Because I may find that something's happening in all of Texas that I would love to connect with my agents in Texas. Or if I want to quickly look up a referral for someone in Dallas, I can go back on command and pull up everybody with the tag that says Dallas, and then I can send them an email and say, "Hey, look, I have this potential buyer in your area. Just wanted to check and be sure that if I send them your way, would that be okay?" So that's why I love tags. I just absolutely love tags. They're my favorite things. All right. Moving along. Any ahas? I'll go with a great idea from Erica as an aha moment. Anyone else? Okay. So one of the things I think that is a big hindrance to doing the follow-up stuff is we get sidetracked, we get tangential, we find something else that occupies our time. There's this other great book called Outwitting the Devil. It's by Napoleon Hill. He's the one who wrote Think and Grow Rich. But this other one came out, I think in 2013, Outwitting the Devil came in. He wrote it in 1927, but it's a great story. It's Napoleon Hill is talking to the devil and they're having a conversation. And one of the things the devil says he loves is when people go sideways and tangential because they don't stay focused and on track. So if you're a person who has a hard time focusing, and I am the first one to admit that's me, I do things in smaller chunks. Like I'll maybe take 15 minutes to do a particular activity or a half an hour to do a particular activity. So if you're having a hard time sticking to your game plan of your phone calls, of your sending out your cards, like handwritten note cards are great. If you're having a hard time staying with those things, find ways that you can plan them at the times where you have the most energy and the most drive, and put that on your calendar. Again, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. So find times you can do that, because that's going to be the way to definitely get it done. And we all fall off the wagon, right? It happens. If you have a day you're mostly sitting in front of a TV, you're on the computer, not really doing much of anything, you're scrolling through too many videos, write it off, let it go, and move on. Like, don't get caught up in a day if it was a bad one for you to stay connected. Because that's really that's really one of our challenges is we start to fault ourselves. It's like, well, if I didn't do it yesterday, what's the point in doing it today? There's always the point. See if you can make it up. See if you can continue with the momentum. And don't overload yourself. That's another big thing. Don't make it so overwhelming you couldn't do it. And also give yourself a reward for having completed it. You may be that person who, like, if I do my 10 phone calls today, I'm going to go get a massage, right? If I do my 10 phone calls today, I'm going to go for that hike I wanted to do. So another good system is to reward yourself for stuff. The mindset thing, I think, is the most important piece to this. And if you go at it in the morning or whenever your more energetic time is, with the mindset of you're a positive person that people want to talk to, then you'll have that less, I don't want to say icky feeling, like it's not icky, but you sometimes feel like you're making a call to make someone buy something from you, right? But if you go in with the plan of what you can talk to them about, you've stalked their social media, you feel less icky about it, and you feel like you're really giving something to somebody. You're giving them a great opportunity for something that they could have. And whatever that is, it's either you being their real estate agent, or you finding something out for them, or you being able to, oh yes, I love that. 15 phone calls in the morning equals hot chocolate chip cookies the next day. I like that one, Monica. That's a good one. Are they Toll House? I really like the Toll House ones. Those are good. Or you could also make cookies for your people and make cookies for your people and deliver them. Like, right, you love chocolate chip cookies. Maybe there's people in your farming area who are right by you that you could share those cookies with. See all these easy ways you can make connections. There's nothing wrong with cookies. Okay. For this next 20 minutes, I want you to do some lead gen. Now, I know it's maybe late where you are, so I can understand not making phone calls right now. But for the next 20 minutes, I want you to really reach out, like look for the people in your database that you can DM. Maybe if it's late, maybe through their social media, you can message them. Maybe you can, if it's not too late, you can text them and just see how they're doing. Check in with them, ask them a question. See if you can remember something about something that happened to them, either something with their kid or a sport thing they did or a team that they're like they love, and see if you can connect with that person just to give them something, like just to say that you're there thinking of them, or maybe even thank them for something. Maybe someone did something really nice for you lately and you're like, you know what, I don't know if I thanked you enough for that. So maybe it's a thank you to them. I got one. Here's the challenge. If you've recently got a spam text and you can convert them to a potential person to put them in your database. I've seen agents do that. That's kind of nifty. Like they'll take a call that says, "Hey, have you done this, that, or the other thing?" And they say, "No, I haven't, but I am a real estate agent who would be happy to help you. Are you looking to buy or sell a house currently?" And I've had 2 agents who have actually converted it. And the person was like, "Actually, you know what? I am." And so you get extra points if you can get that done too. So maybe go through your spam texts and see who you can get on the line there. But take the next 20 minutes, so about seven or whatever time zone you're in, 35. We'll come back and have some discussion about if anyone responded, how did it go, how did you feel? Because I think something that happens too is when you make that effort and you do it and they respond positively, it builds your energy and your confidence to make that next phone call or that next thing, and it just kind of keeps it going. So let's do that for the next 20 minutes. Make sure you're DMing or messaging somebody, and just see, and even through social media, if you want to do some social media posts about something that's happened, that's a good way to connect with people too, some lead gen stuff. Okay, the best social media post I ever put out, well, there are 2 of them. One, it was about pizza, and I put that I'm a pizza purist. Like, I do not like anything but cheese on my pizza. The conversations that got started about the pepperoni and the freaking pineapple, I'm sorry, I can't get over that one on a pizza, but anyway, some people like it. I can't even do ranch dressing. Something like that was, I think it was like 350 comments. Another one I did, people love food. Creamy peanut butter versus chunky peanut butter. That was another big one. Another one I did, I tend to do pizza a lot. When you have leftover pizza, heating it up or cold right out of the fridge. So like asking questions like that generate some conversation. That's always entertaining. But here's the thing you have to remember. When they comment, try and put in a response that's more than 4 words. And that's a really good way to stay top of mind with people. Trust me, most everybody I know now, if they think of pizza, they think of me. All right, sorry. You guys go do that, and I'm gonna step out for 1 second. All right, so I'm just reading this stuff in the chat, and yes, this is a good question. So, um, with the 200 friends, I definitely would expand that. So start finding people to connect with. Facebook has even done where if your personal page is where you do business from your personal page too, like us real estate agents, they've enabled us to make it a business page as well. And you can have a little bit more structure on public versus friends who sees posts and stuff like that. So start going through and finding people to connect with on social media. And I'm telling you, food questions and animal questions or animal posts are some of the highest rated conversations. Um, if you're and Instagram, you can easily follow people pretty simply on that too. I've even started doing I started doing a TikTok. I'm not a TikTok person, but I feel like I'm out of that age range. My daughters, they're 20, so they had to teach me some stuff. But I started doing TikTok and I made my username never owned a home. And what I'm doing is all about first time home buyers. I'm literally breaking up every single step of the home buying process from the very beginning, like, getting the lender, and they're like somewhere between a minute and 2 or 3 minutes, just depending. But starting to do that, and the videos are getting some traction, and I'm getting people who are like, oh, I've been watching your videos, and they're starting to comment. It's about consistency. Just keep doing the thing. I also started doing weekly videos with my lender, and we talk about the market. We also bring people in to talk, like this week we had Sam Eckerson from Orlando. He's a Keller Williams agent up in Orlando, Florida. And we had a conversation about Orlando because people living in Phoenix tend to move across the Sun Belt. So we trade people back and forth. I've had people from Atlanta on. I brought my home inspector in to have a conversation. And it's just about, I don't care if I have 2 people who watched it or 500 people who watch it. I just keep doing it every week. And I'm getting better at the SEO stuff. I'm getting better at uh, how I post it and share it. I use ChatGPT a lot. It's super helpful. But videos are very engaging. And trust me, don't be perfect. Like I do them without makeup. I do them like in my backyard. I mess up and I say things that aren't exactly correct, meaning like I'm saying the so or the ums too often. Leave it in there because people tend to you do, yeah. Although I may put a filter on if I'm not doing the makeup, but whatever, it's fine. Um, just the consistency. You don't have to be perfect. And okay, so here's a funny story. My friend, so the guy I was talking to you earlier about the book The Go Giver, and the guy Bob Berg and John David Mann who wrote it. Well, Bob is a good friend of mine now because I have been coaching for a long time with him. And he says to me, he said, you know what, I'll be honest. He said, when I first started speaking, and Bob is OCD and he's very like he has to be very perfect at stuff. And he said, uh, if he said I was so polished and did it so well, people didn't believe me from the stage because I was too perfect. He said I literally had to bake in mistakes. And when I did that, people related to me more. So that's why, they say done is better than perfect because perfect really doesn't get you much of anything. Just be real. Eric, I'm currently attempting to try and build on IG and Facebook. I have more followers on my personal page, not business page. So if I send you a request, please follow me. Absolutely. I'll follow you for sure. And that's it. The Facebook page has now made, because I'm the same way. Like I don't really post a lot on my team business page. I do a lot on my personal page. And now they've given us that opportunity to make it businessy. So you can do that, and it promotes more. You can post ads from there. You can get insights on who's looking at what. It tells you what posts are doing really well so that you can kind of build off of that if there's anything. Did a couple other things I think I can't remember, but that's kind of a new thing. Oh, I'll put my information in here too, so if you want to, you guys can see all my crap here. Oh, that's where that went. Too many dang screens. That's my off my thing. Anyway. Let's All right. Any questions or comments or anything that they got from people that they try to just touch base with? Or they get excited about something they heard from somebody that they just chatted with? Did anybody happen to get a lead? That would be really cool. You know what, Eric? It is good that if anytime you meet anybody, put them in your database, and I would always put a tag, met at Ignite session 12. This way, again, very specific. Narrow those tags down. Because then you can reach out to everybody and be like, hey, how are you doing with your adding to your database? And so this is our daily success system, right? How many out of 10 conversations did you have? How many contacts added? Now the KWA is a name, a phone number, an email address, and like a mailing address. A lot of times it's because you want to do these handwritten notes. And by the way, I don't know if this counts or not, but in case it does, I like using things like AM cards, or there's a company called Handwritten, and doing the birthday cards, and you can set those up on schedulers. So anytime it comes up, you can automatically just have them send those note cards out. Anything you can do to make your life easier. There's this other thing that I like to teach. It's called how many people your success is, your compensation is built on how many people you serve and how well you serve them. And one of the things we do is, it's called like a three-legged stool, right? You innovate, delegate, and replicate. What can you take and innovate? So maybe when you are giving information out, or maybe you found something really cool that you want to share with your sphere, you do a newsletter or you do a video and you can send that out to everybody. You can replicate something, maybe someone emails you or asks you the same question often about where you are. Do a video or an FAQ section. And delegate things, send things out, let someone else do stuff for you. That's where I think this comes in handy, the delegation part. You can delegate some of the things you need to do in order to free up your time. Virtual assistants, AM cards, there's gift companies that will, send like fairy tale brownies. Oh, those are great ones to send to clients. So those types of things that you can put on schedulers or put in something where you don't even have to really think about it. Birthdays, anniversaries, house anniversaries, those are things that are easy to schedule. And again, if you don't feel like doing it because you just don't really enjoy database, management or putting things in there, then use a virtual assistant. Use somebody who, and do you have a kid who got in really big trouble and you want to make them pay, and you make them do work for you? Like, there's lots of different ways to do stuff. Okay, the 10-5-1 social media engagement. Now, one of the things I think people have a challenge with is they'll post something and they'll either just, when people comment, they either just hit the like button or the love button and they don't re-engage. Now that can be time consuming. So this is one of those things where if you do post something that may gain a lot of interest, make sure you have some free time available. Maybe you're doing some computer work or something, and make sure you're engaging with those people who comment on it. Because the more you engage with them, they're going to engage with you, and other people will see it and they get into the conversations, and then people start commenting on your replies and their replies. So I would highly recommend, you post 10 posts a week are good. If you have a new listing, that's considered a post. If you have something exciting that happened or something you want to share, highlight a neighborhood or a restaurant. People love highlights of places that they can go and get themselves entertained. I actually went off, I saw this video on like a shop that had all these really cool plants in it. And so my daughters love greenery things. So I took them to that place based on a TikTok video, right? One of my posts that got the most engagement was what to do with a formal dining room or a formal living room when you don't want to use a formal living room. And that one got a lot of traction. So if you need help coming up with something, I'm always available to have those conversations because I've come up with some pretty fun things, or I've copied people who I thought had some pretty fun things. So feel free to reach out. And enrichments. So kind of I have I don't, you can't this is like my whiteboard over here that I keep all track of the stuff that I do. So if it's maybe for you, it's a piece of paper on your desk or some way that you can just kind of check the box, print up this daily success system every day if you want to. There's even this cool thing called the what is it called? The 25. No, hold on a second. Oh, it's called like the $2,500 idea. And the reason it's called that is because someone was paid $2,500 basically to write 6 lines on a piece of paper. And here's what happened. It said, um, before I put my head on a pillow, before I put my head on my pillow today, these are the top things I need to do. And it was literally just 6 lines. And the night before, you just write those top things down that you need to do for the next day and you stick to that. And this could be this daily success system. It could be having those conversations. It could be your 36 touches, all those different things. But just have something where you can like basically cross it off. There's a mindset behind the crossing things off. Now, if you can't get yourself motivated to do it, if you've ever seen, if you were at family reunion and Mel Robbins was there, she has the 5-second rule plan, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and do it. That's a whole mindset thing. That's a great book too. It's one of those things where if you just can't get motivated, count down from 5 and then just get up and do that thing. So if you need more motivation, always feel free to call me too. I can help out. I get you excited about something. And just a reminder with the do not call list, if someone's on it, if you don't know them well enough, make sure you don't reach out to them. I do need to read this to you. When you make calls to your sphere and people in your database, before you make any calls or texts, please remember to honor the TCPA and do not call lists, including those of your market center in your state. If you have any questions or concerns about this, please consult your market center or attorney to ensure compliance. Refer to the pages at the beginning of your participant guide for more details. These guidelines are for your protection as well as the protection of your clients. So we'll review the importance of the Telephone Consumer Protection Act and do not call restrictions when you make your calls and text your database. Just make sure you read over this because the fines are pretty significant for this if you violate these rules. So for some reason you're calling people like auto dialers, like if you don't know the people, most people, especially when we're doing this kind of thing, especially at night here, it's a little different. During the day or when these classes are in person, people may be making more phone calls. So I don't think some of your people would appreciate you calling them at like 9 o'clock at night to ask them questions. Anyone have questions about this do not call registry and stuff? That's pretty simple, right? Okay. Alrighty. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. Now, this is a good affirmation for you if you want to screenshot it or something. If for some reason you're having a hard time getting yourself in the mindset when you make the phone calls, say this to yourself about a half a dozen times before you make the call. It'll definitely put you in that mindset of what you're about to deliver to someone is a gift and it's you getting in your own head about them not wanting to hear from you. So if it's a help, write it down, say it. I mean, some people are just okay at talking. Great, fantastic. If you're not that person, then, oops, well, I'm sorry. I was trying to admit somebody in. Okay. Whoops. All right. If you're not that person, then create something that's going to make you feel super comfortable. Maybe you could say something like, what I have to offer is going to be welcomed and appreciated. Something super simple. If anyone has any other affirmations, I'd love to hear those because those can be kind of fun to see how they work. Not, depends on what gets you excited or what makes you feel comfortable. Everybody's may be different. All right, we don't role play in here, unfortunately, because we don't have the ability to. All right. So when you're going to make those phone calls during your lead gen time, you want to prepare your conversation list, right? You're going to make sure that the people you're calling that day, you've researched them, had some information on them, had something, have a conversation in mind. Now, something I find sometimes is that you make these lists and you have this conversation planned and you go call that person and they completely throw you off your game. They're like, "Oh my gosh, actually I was just getting ready to call you," and they start on a whole other conversation. It's okay, don't be attached to what you wrote down. Flow with the conversation, but this is good for you just in case you're not sure, you don't want to call up and be like, "Hey, just checking in." No offense, I find that really annoying. So, and other people may too. No one really wants to be checked in on unless something's going on with them. If like maybe someone's sick or something like that, that's one thing. But like I said, with those lenders who call me every week, and you know what really bothers me? I even told one particular lender I don't like when lenders call me every week, and she still decided to do it. So just keep that in mind. Really listen to the person who's talking to you and what they want and what they don't like. If people find, if maybe they have young kids at home and they can't really talk often like that, maybe it's text messaging or maybe it's DMing or maybe give them a break and find them a babysitter and you can take them out for coffee. But just find ways to prepare yourself. Um, Find out if there's something you can do for them, if there's something they need, and maybe, because that can also get you another follow-up call back or something that they may need to return a call to you for. So that's always, think about things like that for your action and then put the information in your database. I think this is one of the things that we fail to do most is after the conversation, we basically just get up from the conversation and leave. Go back into your database, put some notes on what you talked about, create some new tags if you need to. One of the other tags I like to create is like a mother tag and a father tag. So when it comes to Mother's Day or Father's Day, I can send them notes. If you put something in there, like maybe they're fans of football and maybe they're New York Giants fans and you can pull up all your New York Giant fans and say, "Hey, you know what? I just heard that the Giants said Cam Scatterboo is better than they ever thought they were going to be. And they're looking for a great season this year." It's my hopes and prayers. So we'll see. But put like again, I can't stress enough the tags. Those are great ways to filter your people. And then add the notes in there. Put any follow-ups in. Put any follow-up information in your calendar right away as well. Like they say something to the effect of, "Oh, Susie's got a rehearsal next week for the play she's doing at the end of the month, and we're really excited about it." Put a note in your calendar to call that person on that day to ask the next day to find out how that event went. And it's basically it for that. The notes part is where we all kind of get lost. All right, we don't have this. All right, blah, 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 we can't do any of that. Okay. Any questions or anything before we wrap up our evening? Any thoughts? Anything they want to share? Is everybody still awake? All right, and don't think I'm weird. I didn't not like fill this section in. Like this, like I couldn't, I can't edit the slides. So it's not like, put your name here. Like I can't edit this slide, so I couldn't put my name there or anything. But you can here. I'm gonna stop this sharing for a second. And I'm gonna okay. Oops. All right, so if you can do this evaluation, I'm trying to get hold on a second. I'm trying to put it up here so you guys can see what this looks like. Okay. Okay. So if you go to the KW, hold on, I lost it again. KWUeval.com and you get to this, you would put your region down here in this section, your event type, so it would be virtual. course name, it would be the section Nurture Relationships, Ignite 12. Instructor name would be Christy Ellis. Hoping I'm in here. I don't see me in here. So just put name not in drop down. I'll let them know that I haven't been added yet. And then if you would be able to rate me, that would be awesome.
What was the link again, Christy?
Sure, it's KWU eval.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Oh, Eric, I'm sorry, not feeling well. It's never fun. I'm all about collaboration and sharing. So if you ever want to, like I said, reach out. If there's anything I can ever help you with, I love education and I love teaching. I spent a lot of my career coaching, mentoring, training. I do professional standards, a lot of things that involve risk management. So I like to work with attorneys and I do things that that hopefully make our profession better. And I always like to hear what people do in their regions because we may not be doing it here, you may be doing it there, but it can translate to here, right? So always happy to collaborate, mastermind, whatever. All right, well, anything else before we all head off for the evening? No, thanks for being my co-host, Brian. Appreciate you. Did a great job. Everybody got in.
What's the name of this session again? I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. This one was the section 12, the nurturing or building relationships. And feel free, if you're done for the evening, you're welcome to leave, or if you have questions or want to chat about anything, I can hang for a little while.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Christy. I'm out.
Thanks, Brian. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks, Christy. We
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Erica. Feel better. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. I
Bye.
appreciate it. Bye-bye.